welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this Wednesday afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. All right, we're going to get right on into our program. Hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. All right, let's get right on into our program. What we're going to be talking about today is having a successful marriage. Having a successful marriage. We've talked about that's basically what our program is about. And it's also about those that are, you don't have to be married to watch the program. If you're looking to get married or plan on getting married in the future, or you're seeing someone and you don't want to know what to look for in that person, you can tune into our program and we might have some helpful hints for you or some things that you can use in your journey of obtaining or looking for a spouse or for a mate or soulmate. But what we're going to be talking about today is having a successful marriage. We all want our marriage to succeed. No one goes into a marriage or relationship looking not to succeed. So we're going to go over some things that you should be looking for, things you should be aware of, or things that you should be doing in order to have a successful marriage. And we've always talked about on the program how important marriage is. And we've mentioned many times that it's not hard. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, marriage is hard. Oh, no, no, it's not hard. It's what you put into it. Anything can be hard if you don't put anything in it, or if you make it hard or you make it difficult. We want you to know that you can have fun in your marriage, and enjoy your spouse, have a good time with them. There's nothing wrong with laughter, in the marriage, and make sure you uh, go on, have those times that are set apart for you and your spouse. I'm setting my timer here. Okay, there we go. That's set aside for you and your spouse. Make sure you get if you have children, make sure that your children are involved. And, we always mention on the program that try not to have serious discussions around your kids, especially if you think that, someone is going to be upset or something, or one of the parties is going to be upset. Try not to have that around your kids, because you don't want your kids to see that mom and dad are not getting along, because it affects our children more than we would ever know if they see us bickering and arguing all the time. Make sure that you are loving your wife around your kids, and husbands, wives, make sure you're loving your husbands around your kids. Make sure you're respecting them around there. But having a successful marriage, first of all, you have to make sure that you have a good spouse or a good wife in order to have a successful marriage. And you can't just jump into a relationship. That's why we talked about on the program the things that you look for in before you walk down the aisle. There's a lot of things that you should consider before you walk down the aisle, and even before you have children. There's many things that you should consider. Uh, Having a good wife is very, very important for a successful marriage, because when you have a good spouse, everything is gonna be okay when you have a good spouse. Okay, here's another one here. Raising a moral family. We talked about that. You have a moral family where you have a basis where you attend church. There's a lot of couples that don't attend church, but you really should. We've talked about it on the program. And nowadays you think people don't. They just don't. Go. There's still a lot of people that still attend churches, but for the most part, most people don't. They find other things to do on Sundays. But even if you're one of those couples that just go on Sunday, make sure you be consistent with that. If that's the only day that you can, time allows you to go to church, make sure you go to church on that particular day that you set aside. If you can't go on Sunday, pick a day during the week, and and make that your day that you go always will attend. So that's very important in to have a successful marriage, is to have a spiritual background in in the relationship, and it brings you closer together. That keeps you close. That keeps the love alive in the marriage, and especially if you're in a church that teaches good marriage values and good family values in your church. Some churches have several programs that they where they teach family values, and when you teach those family values and you have those programs in your church, it reflects on your basis or your foundation of your religion. It protrudes the what you've learned in your spirit, doing your spiritual walk or on your spiritual walk. So you want to make sure that you have that foundation. One with effective communication to have a successful marriage. We talked about it several times on the programs that you have to have successful communication in a marriage. Communicating is not yelling, because if you, we said it many times, if you yell, someone else is going to yell louder and no one is going to be heard. When two people are yelling, no one hears anything because you're out shouting the other person. So when you have discussions, make sure that you pick the right and proper time to have those discussions, especially if it's a serious discussion. Make sure you think before you react, especially if there's concern. I won't say complaint, especially if your spouse have some concerns. Make sure you think before you reply to those response to those concerns that they might have. And with the concerns, there's most of the times there are things that are there to help the marriage, to benefit the marriage. So make sure that you think before you respond. And first of all, you listen to the concerns, without interruption. Sometimes as humans, we want to get our word in, but sometimes it's not feasible to get your word in all the time. It's just a lot of times it's just you're just there to be a listening ear, and sometimes your spouse might want to vent, so let them vent. Let them talk. And just be a good listener. And we've covered that a lot of times. And here's another one here: living as friends. You have to be friends with your spouse. That should have been the case before you walk down the aisle. You should have know that that person is a good friend to you, as well as a uh, husband, wife, lover. They should first and foremost, be a good friend. In other words, if you're a good friend, because your friends are people that you get along with, and that would cut down on a lot of disagreements in a marriage when you both have that friendship or that bond between each other, and that's usually found when you are with a soulmate. That's why another reason why it's so important, and we've talked about it many times on the program, to make sure that you are with your soulmate. It's very important. That's why the Bible says, "He that finds a wife find a good thing." So you have to make sure when you find that good thing, you're not just looking at the outward appearance. I know man or men are very visual characters, but you have to make sure that when you're uh, doing your visual thing, make sure that there is a spiritual connection in there, as well as a mental thing in there. Where you connect with that person. You don't want to try to get with someone that you're not connected with. You're not on the same page. In other words, you're going in the same direction. You want to be going in two different directions. It's just starting a relationship out. So living as friends in a relationship is part of having a successful marriage. If you guys can get along and laugh together and enjoy each other's company all the time. You don't have to, oh, well, I need to get away from that man. oh, he get on my nerves. It should it should never be. We all have those days where we want to, need a little space. That's where everything works out together when you communicate. When you have good communication, that's never should never be an issue when you have good communication. And again, we've said on the program many times that there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. Just like the same thing with the church. There's no such thing as a perfect church. If you're looking for one, you're never going to find one. If you're looking for a perfect husband, you're never going to find one. If you're looking in children, if you're looking for perfect parents, you're never going to find one. My wife and I were talking about that earlier this morning about raising children uh, is not a hard task, but it's very challenging. And there's going to be times, and there's no such thing as a perfect parent, just like there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. But you strive to get there with communication, living as friends, and raising your having morality in your family, where you have your good morals and things that are going on in your marriage. Also, unconditional love and understanding. You should have that unconditional love and that understanding with each other in the marriage. There should be understanding and communication in that marriage. When you have that unconditional love and that communication, is not about yourself all the time. You make it about someone else. In other words, you make it about your spouse, not about yourself. We as humans can be selfish sometimes, and for goodness sake, don't take your spouse for granted. If you have a good spouse, you build on that. If you have a good spouse, make sure you build on that, because when you have a good spouse, you build on that, and a relationship can go far, and you will have a successful marriage. And my wife and I, we've been married over 35 years, and it's been wonderful. I wouldn't take nothing for granted in our marriage, and I try to be a perfect husband, but as men, we always do something. So, but we work together, and we get along very, very well, which comes under what we talked about, living as friends. And it's part of having a successful marriage. Unconditional love and understanding. What are the most important things in your marriage? Find those out. Communication is one of them. Communication, respect. Make sure you respect your spouse. Don't put her down. Setting boundaries. There's some lines and some things you don't cross those lines. You don't. And one of the things is that's why it's so important to uh, get rid of old baggage or close old chapters in your life, because sometimes you can go back and start bringing those things up or hold those against your spouse, things that happened in your past. So you have to get, sometimes it's nothing wrong with getting help for that, getting counseling with that. And we just want to overlook, especially people of color. We just don't. Oh, I ain't crazy. That does not mean you are crazy. That just means that you need a little help. Just like, for instance, if you broke your arm, you're not gonna say, "Oh, I ain't going to see nobody. My arm ain't broke. Your arm is broke. Go see somebody." So they can fix it. And that's the same thing with your mind. Sometimes your mind needs a little help to be fixed. But make sure you stay spiritually connected. Stay in your churches. Make sure that you attend your churches on a regular basis. That's part about having a successful marriage as well. And make sure we take our children up until the age that they make their own decisions. When they start making their own decisions, if it's in them, they will stay in the church. But don't try to force anything on them once they get past a certain age. Uh, Trust. That's another thing that's part of a successful marriage. When you trust each other, you don't have to worry about, there's no jealousy and animosity between the both of you. There should be trust, and you put your trust in your spouse. And also, and then here's another one: support. Make sure you are very supportive of your wife. Don't criticize her, putting her down and talking down to her, or treating her like a kid. And same thing with your wives. Don't treat your husband like a kid or putting him down all the time. Make sure that you encourage him and lift him up, lift each other up. Make sure each other you're lifting each other up, and it's and being and having their back. People can, you always say that. They seem to be thinking, "Oh, I got your back. I got your back." But make sure you really do have your spouse's back. When things come up, you both are have each other to lean on. Because there's so many things that are going on in the world today. There's so much loss within our families. You lose family members, and your spouse might not have both of their parents, or they might have just one of their parents. And as we get older in our marriage, or as the years go by in your marriage, things come up in a marriage. Yeah, sometimes you might have to take care of the in-laws, or help take care of the in-laws, and your wife might have to help take care of parents after they get a certain age, because we all get older as we get older, and those things should you should have the spirit of help in your marriage, and that's another part of having a successful marriage. Make sure you give that 100% support to your spouse. This is Pastor Larry. We're going to be signing off until we meet again on Let's Talk Marriage. It's been a pleasure. I'm enjoying each and every time that we bring our program to you. Again, if you have any suggestions on topics that you would like to hear us discuss on the program, just put it in the comments and send it to her, and it'll get to me, and we'll have it on our program. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry. Now, remember, all the music that you hear on the program is from a wonderful app called Whoop Triggers Plus. We don't own the rights to any of the music that you might hear on here, but it's from Whoop Triggers Plus, app that's available on Android as well as the Apple platform. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry with Let's Talk Marriage.